Hello and welcome back to the NRLW Weekly podcast, thanks to Lite N, fueling Australian sport. My name is Marley Silva. As always, I am joined by the one and only Ruan Sims. And boy, do we have a show for you today. We recap another huge round in the NRLW. Rue tells you her Lite N hungriest player and team of the week. We also hear from the North Queensland Cowboys superstar Jakiya Whitfeld and have a little bit of a preview of what's to expect in round 6. I know I said this last week, but it's just going way too damn fast, Rue. But let's get stuck into things.
Yeah, absolutely. It is going way too fast. Round 6 already.
Absolutely.
2/3 of the way through the season. And,
Yes.
just a few more rounds and then finals.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. I think we're seeing great footy. So I'll dive straight into my Lite N hungriest player of the week is Lauren Brown.
Oh,
and
yes.
Considering we heard from her after the game and she said she wasn't 100%, she scored 2 tries. She had how many try assists, line breaks, that it should be terrifying for the opposition. And I thought she was fantastic. And she just continues to grow and become an even more dominant figure in that number 7 jersey. And I love what we're seeing out of her. I love what she's doing at the Titans and what Karen Murphy's doing with her as well. I spoke about this on the weekend, can definitely see a lot of Murph's game in Lauren Brown.
Yeah,
so
wow.
that's very, very cool. And, obviously she's led the Titans to a big win against the Roosters on
what
the
a win.
weekend. And, I think that was a really good step forward for the Titans. They definitely needed it.
Yeah, what a confidence boost.
Yeah, and this is going to be no surprise that my hungriest team of the week is the Sharks.
Oh,
5 rounds, 5 wins. And obviously it was a local derby on the weekend. They travelled down the Princes Highway to win Stadium. They came away with a victory. So they sit pretty 4 points clear at the top of the ladder, the Sharks. So, that's my hungriest player and team of the week.
I mean, the Sharkies look a little bit unstoppable at the moment.
They look great. Look, they're genuine litmus test this weekend, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Okay, I can't wait. Alrighty, well, now it's time for this segment.
This is the top 2 with Rue. What's fueling Rue this week?
It just gets better, I reckon.
I do. I giggle every time, I swear. I do.
What are your top 2?
Oh, well, first one, the Gold Coast on the weekend. Temperatures flared, as did tempers. And look, I was workshopping that little headline on the way in today. I'm not going to lie. Journalism school might be on the cards for me.
Oh, yeah.
There was a little old-fashioned melee on the field.
There
There was a lot of passion in the game, and I think that's going to spark some really good rivalry for those two clubs going forward. 2 genuine threats in the competition.
Yes.
And they went toe-to-toe on the weekend. The Titans were fantastic. But, the Roosters I think that's going to be a good little matchup going forward. Always circle those ones in the diary. I
have to tell this little story because it was so funny. I was at Wynn Stadium getting ready for those games down there on Sunday when the one up on the Gold Coast was being played, and we had it on the screen in like the press box where the print media usually sits, and there was a writer sitting there, and like that little push and shove was happening, and we all obviously are paying attention, and everyone's like, oh my goodness. And in the background of it, Jamie Chapman and Olivia Koenig
pretending to punch on.
I was like, they're very good friends, and I laughed so much.
Yeah.
But the writer sitting next to me thought they were being legit.
Yeah.
And went, when Jamie was pretending to throw punches. And I was like, see, no, these girls all know and love each other. They're just so passionate about it. And there was no close fierce. There was nothing. It just pushed and shoved.
Just temperature. Honestly, it was hot.
Yeah.
It was a hot day.
Yeah.
And when it's hot and you're frustrated, tempers blow up. They do. And like you just get really into it. And it was handled well.
Yeah.
And I thought Jamie Frezard showed some really good personality afterwards. And she is a firecracker.
She is.
I love Frez. And, that's just, there was a little bit of a melee. So
A fun little bit to talk about, I think, when we get away from it. But yeah, it was a huge upset.
yeah, big upset.
So I think that's what also plays into that emotion and passion.
Yeah. And I think, if they had their times again, they'd probably dial it down a little bit so that you don't have to spend time on the sideline.
Yes.
Like that's totally, you don't I'm not encouraging that.
Of course
but I'm
not.
just saying it's like it was quite amusing seeing the two in the background have
Yes.
a little bit of a pretend
Yes.
punch on. And then my second one, I was very excited to see the video posted by the Warriors with Michaela Blyde and Sarah Harini.
Yeah.
I was like, that's very cool. And this is exactly what I was hoping for when the Warriors were announced that they were going to be returning into the NRLW, because there's so much talent in New Zealand.
Yes.
And not all of them can come to Australia for the opportunity to play. But now that they have their club back, they could be a genuine force in their first year, because there is a huge talent that they can tap into there and huge potential. And I think Ronnie Griffiths is spoiled for choice.
Oh, isn't he just?
Over there. So, yeah, that's my second food for thought.
Yes, and listeners who have been tuning in all season would know we spoke about Michaela Blyde in the episode with Tyler King. Both her and Sarah Harini, who you mentioned there, are from that gold medal winning Rugby 7 side from New Zealand. So, yeah, very exciting 2025 ahead of us. Right now, you're listening to the NRLW Weekly podcast with Marley Silva and Ruan Sims, thanks to Lite N, fueling Australian sport.
Well, the Cowboys are off the back of a couple of very cool victories. It was pretty much unanimous when we said, who do we want to talk to? Let's get someone from the Cowboys. Jakiya Whitfeld. And Marley, you got to catch up with her a little bit earlier.
Jakiya Whitfeld, one of the superstars of the North Queensland Cowboys, joins me now. Well, I have to say, first of all, I can see your face, Jakiya, and I was worried it was going to be more busted up after you had that little split over your eye on the weekend. How are you going?
Yeah, good. I think Monday morning my eye was like fully shut, and I couldn't see out of it. But it actually healed so quickly. It's sweet now. So you stitches in, but it's good.
You're so tough, that's why. Well, it certainly looks like you are having the time of your life, living in the sunshine in Townsville. Yeah, we've seen you in those colours for a little while now, and this season's off to a great start. How has it felt within the Cowboys world up there?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Obviously been up here for the past few months, and I guess, I don't know, for me it feels like home. I've been welcomed by the club and the girls, and I guess the transition has been seamless, and it feels like my family up here, and yeah, it probably couldn't have gone much better than it has.
Oh, I love to hear that. And it's also reminded me that what we're doing with our guests this year on the NRLW Weekly podcast is getting to know you guys and your habits off the field first and foremost. So I've got to remember that I've got to ask you these questions first. So these are ones that give us a little bit of an insight into who you are. Could you start by telling me, what is your go-to pump-up song on game day?
Oh, my go-to pump-up song? I don't know. I just like any country music, to be honest. I'm not like much of a music person, I wouldn't say. I kind of like to just get the vibe off like whoever's on the speaker. I'm probably the person that will never be put on the speaker, to be fair. But I think probably China Pilata, she's probably our main girl in the gym on the speaker. So yeah, I kind of just like get the vibe off them.
If you're looking for like a post-game treat, what is your go-to food?
Post-game treat, probably pizza, or if it's like sweet, an ice cream. Or this isn't really post-game, but on the weekends up here in Townsville, there's a cafe, and it's called Bloom, and it does the best cookies, and that's like our thing on the weekend. We love to go to Bloom and get a cookie. It's really good.
Oh, nice. Do you have an embarrassing nickname or a nickname that only your family called you growing up?
Yeah, my nickname's Bear. I have this like teddy bear that I've had since I was literally born. I still have it now. I get the piss taken out of me all the time, but I just can't part ways with it.
Oh. And finally, we've been asking everyone this. Last week, Taylor Preston revealed that her game day superstition is to make sure that she's always got fake tan going on, even when she becomes a little bit orange, which we love her for. But do you have anything that you have to do all the time through the season to make sure that you're prepared for the games?
Probably not really. I don't really like to be superstitious, because then I feel like if it doesn't happen, then I don't know. I just don't like that feeling. I don't know. This is random, but I've been wearing like the same. Ooh, obviously they're clean, but the same undies each time. I don't know why. That's just happened this season. So I'm just sticking with it now. I'm on a roll, but
I'm glad they're clean, and I'm glad you clarified.
just in case people are wondering.
Yeah. Now, you've already spoken about feeling like your Cowboys teammates are like a real family, and I think that could almost be part of the answer to this question. But things really look like they're heading in the right direction for you girls this year. What has changed or what's going right in this season? Is it that culture?
Yeah, I guess obviously I can't speak to the previous year, obviously not being here, but I think it was probably similar in the sense of obviously being at Tigers, it was an inaugural year, same up here, an inaugural team. I don't know, I guess, I think it definitely does have a lot to do with the culture. I've been a part of a few teams across my union background and my league, and I don't know, just here feels different. The girls up here, like, it's just such a good bunch of girls, and I know like you guys speak about it a lot, but there's just such good humans off the field, and I think when we get on the field we really want to work for each other, and there's so much heart in this group, and such a good group of humble girls that want to go out there and work hard for each other every single game, and I just think it's a bit of a different vibe, and I think, like you said, it has a lot to do with the culture, and under the leadership of Talisha Harden and Kira Dibb and all of our other senior girls and leaders throughout the group, I think that the way that I guess they lead us is exactly that. They epitomise, I guess, what it is to be a Cowboy, and that filters out throughout our group. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned your co-captains there, because I actually wanted to ask you about Talisha Harden, because in every time that I see her, there's so much warmth in just having that interaction with her, whether it's me in a pre-game interview or just seeing her walking around before a match.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like she's so experienced and she seems like an incredible leader. Does a lot of that culture come from someone like her?
Yeah, 100%. To be honest, when I first was looking at coming to the Cows, I met Talisha over at PM's over in PNG last year, and I actually had tea with her and Emma. We have a bit of a running joke now about tea time. But yeah, I met Talisha and honestly felt like I'd known her for years. I feel like we've probably grown up pretty similar upbringing, and I think that, yeah, the way, like you said, her warmth and the way that she carries herself and the way that she makes people feel, that was a big reason for me making the move up here, I guess, being around like someone like Talisha, and for myself, I guess learning to be a leader and to grow in that space, looking up to someone like Talisha. Personally, I don't think there's anyone that does it better. So yeah, I'm really grateful to have her guidance and her leadership, both on and off the field this year.
Okay, tea time. What a cute little thing to have that you've done together. I have to say, when I was up in Townsville a couple of weeks ago for that incredible game where your girls won after the Kira Dibb field goal, the heat, the way that plays a part in the games up there. I actually saw your coach Rick Henry say in the lead up to that game that he hoped that it was really, really hot on the weekend because it gives you an advantage, and that was pretty clear. Like, how did you acclimatise to training in that humidity and then playing in it with those home games?
Yeah, I guess it's probably a little bit different for us to the boys in the sense that the boys train in the daytime. So they are like obviously in the middle of the heat. So for us, it's probably still a shock actually playing at that time. But I think obviously we train in the afternoons. It's probably a bit cooler then. So we're not 100% used to it. But I guess just living up here, you acclimatise to the climate. And it's obviously then a shock when teams do come up here, like compared to Sydney and Canberra and even Brizzy. Like, the heat up here is so different. The climate is so different. So I guess for us, we do have an advantage in that sense, but then like on the flip side, going down to Raiders, like everyone's like, it's so freezing, like it's cold, and so yeah, I guess it goes both ways. But I think nevertheless, like playing in that kind of heat, regardless if you're acclimatized or not, it's pretty tough. And I think for us, it's just like not talking about it. We say that a lot, whether it's the cold or the hot, but like I guess that's that, and we kind of just leave it and focus on the game, and the heat's not going to change, and you just got to learn to push through it and work for each other, and that's what we do.
Yeah, and that's certainly what you did in that game that I was talking about. I think your girls showed a lot of resilience and that real like grind until the 70th minute, I think was exemplified there. How did you guys look back on that match? Is that something that has given you a lot of confidence? You know, you got the back-to-back wins after.
Yeah, I think like for us, we've spoken a lot about just playing in the cycle and keeping to the cycle of footy. Yeah, I think that obviously each game that we've had, there's things that we've wanted to work on and get better, and I think that we've built into that even from last game. There's definitely things that we're still building on, but I think each game we've come back, we've reviewed it, we've focused and refocused on the things that we want to focus on the week after. So I think that we're building slowly, and I think there's confidence and belief growing throughout the group, and I think that's a big thing, especially for our group. Considering how young we were, I think that Cows last year were the second youngest group in the comp, so I think that's still probably the case now. So I guess it is a lot about breeding that confidence into our younger girls and even some of our older girls now, just to believe in themselves. I guess obviously coming off the back of last year when you lose so many games, I think it kind of can become like normal and feel normal. It's like you know how to lose. And that can be really defeating and you kind of forget actually how to win and how to win games. So I think, coming off obviously our win in that second round, I guess learning how to win and learning how to fight and be gritty and be determined and be resilient throughout the game and stay in that cycle and yeah.
Yeah. I think like again that Titans game, we spoke about it like it was an upset, which I'm sure is not what you guys think about in terms of mentality, but there's been a lot of that through this season, a lot of unexpected results, incredible games across the competition where we've just seen, you know, so much like right until the end. We don't know what's going to happen and all that sort of stuff. From you as a player, are you seeing or feeling like how much this competition is just going to another level this year?
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, I don't think there's been, I guess, for us a game that we've been in where it's like, oh, we've won it or we've lost it. It's been such a fight. And I know our para game, like, I think there were some record numbers in terms of the intensity of that game. I think there was a stat the other day that was spoken about that it was at the intensity of an Origin game. So I guess that in itself speaks volumes for how our competition is growing and I guess the quality of what we are displaying and putting out on the field, and that comes also from the young girls coming in. So obviously we're doing something right in terms of the pathways and the young girls that we are bringing in and the development that they're getting prior to entering the NRLW space to be able to play at this level at such a young age.
Now, you're a code convert. You're in the Sevens program. There's a lot of other girls coming from Union nowadays. Does that excite you? Because it obviously brings, like, you know, we get so excited when we see you in space, all the strength in your game that comes from that background. Does it excite you for what it can do for the game when we see the likes of Stacey Walker come across straight after a gold medal win, all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I know obviously down at the Sharkies, Domi and Chans have just come over. And I think it's so exciting. Obviously, girls coming from the professional rugby sevens space, whether that's the Kiwi girls or our Aussie sevens girls, they're professionals and they're so good at what they do. And I guess they're in and around the space that we want to be. So they're coming from a full-time professional program, which is where we want to see our program get to in the years to come. So I think that the experience that they bring both on the field and off the field to help, I guess, drive our game to be where we want it, and I guess the quality that they'll bring in terms of the players that they are will be really awesome. And I think very exciting players. I'm personally pretty excited to see them play and see how they go.
Yeah, I totally feel exactly the same. And that professionalism, because of that experience, is something that we've sort of been speculating would be the strength from it. Do you think that when you came across, that was something that you've been able to sort of manage in your preparation or be able to, I don't know, share with other girls as you've come into the NRLW, because it isn't that full-time professional?
Yeah, 100%. I think it is something that, I guess for myself, I hold myself to a pretty high standard. I guess going to a professional program, I've been in and around it since I was 16 years old. Obviously going full-time at 18, I guess I learned pretty quickly what it takes to be a professional athlete full-time. And I think that that's something that I want to bring across to the NRLW, and I guess so many of the other girls that are coming across are also doing that. I think that I probably found it difficult and probably still do, just in terms of that difference, I guess, in professionalism. But I guess we are limited in a sense. I guess the fact that we have protected hours, it is hard and difficult to have the expectations of players to be fully professional when we're only given a certain amount of time to be professional. So it is hard because we are limited, and I do acknowledge that and see that. But at the same time, I think that, yeah, hopefully in the next few years we are in a space where we can go professional, and I think where we do have all those Sevens girls coming in and coming over, that they'll be a massive, I guess, support and help in that sense, because they know what it takes. Even just the little things in terms of preparation, what it takes to be fully professional, just all those 1%ers that people probably don't think about and probably get away with not doing, I guess, in the NRLW. I guess probably really little things, but at the end of the day, they mean a lot in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, I think, we're certainly heading in the right direction. And thinking about the future, I know that you do some work for the Goanna Academy. You've been spending your day doing some school visits today. What do you, as my last question for you, when you're talking to this next generation of kids, maybe boys and girls, what excites you about how they see the NRLW or how they see female athletes? Because I'm sure you see how their perspectives are changing.
Yeah, 100%. I think that, obviously up here, both with the Goanna Academy and my work at the Cowboys, interacting with kids on a daily basis. And I think probably the most exciting thing is when we go to schools out here and stuff, it's not just the young girls that want your signature, it's the young girls and the young boys. And they don't care whether you're a female or a male, they're like so excited that the Cowboys are coming to their school, or that a player's coming to their school. So I think in terms of that that generation of younger kids coming through, and on the TV they see the girls and they see the boys. They're not just seeing the boys. So I guess in that sense it's really cool to see that when inspiring a generation of boys and girls coming through. And I think we were down only a few weeks ago at the Laurie Spina Carnival. I think it's under 12s or 14s, footy carnival over here in Townsville. And yeah, it was just amazing, like all the boys teams coming up to us, and like they wouldn't leave us alone. Like they were just so excited that we were down there, and me and one of the other girls, Tallulah, and a few of the other girls came down for a bit, but we spent about 2 days, full days down there just hanging out with the kids. And yeah, I think for me it was made me feel pretty good about, not myself, but about the game and where we're at, the fact that we're inspiring so many young kids. And it was a pretty cool experience.
I love that so much. And hey, like even for an old bird like me, you guys inspire me. So you're doing it for everyone. Jakiya, it's always so lovely to talk to you. I love seeing how happy you are up in Townsville, and love watching the Cowboys this year. It's really great, exciting footy that you're playing. So good luck for the rest of it.
Thanks, Marley. Thanks for your time.
Now, let's get stuck into what we can expect for round 6. Every single NRLW game you can get live and free on 9 and 9 now. Saturday, 31st of August, we start on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
With the Titans and the Sharks. I could almost say we're starting with the game of the round.
Yeah, I think this is definitely the game of the round.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Sharks are flying high. Mm-hmm. They're playing some good footy. And the Titans have come off the back of a very good win against the Roosters on the weekend. And I think, I agree with you. I think this is the game of the round. It's going to be very much a litmus test for the Sharks. They had a great win at home against the Knights a couple of weeks ago. This is another step up as well for them, because the Titans are hungry. They lost those 2 games in a row that they didn't want to lose, and they bounced back very well against the Roosters. Now coming up against the Sharks, like the Titans are going to be hungry for this. They're going to be very, very hungry, and I think it's really important that the Sharks don't approach this with a complacent mindset. Not that they would. I'm not saying they would, but sometimes when you're winning, it can be very easy just to take your foot off the accelerator. But I know Tony Herman's not about that at all. He's very, very strict with the girls, and he's very focused in his mindset, as are the players. But this is a big test,
Yeah.
a really, really big test that you need to try and shut down Lauren Brown, reduce the amount of time she has with ball in hand and making decisions, which is hard because she's fast as well. And the service that she gets out from the middle is fantastic, because you add Georgia Hale in there as another service level, then you need to shut down Georgia to then shut down Lauren.
Ooh.
And then you sort of say, okay, well, if you shut down those two, then you got to try and shut down Varney, Polite.
Yeah.
And then if you do that, then you've got to shut down Niall Williams-Guthrie. And if you do that, then you've got to shut down Jamie Chapman. So there are a lot of things. Everybody on the field for the Sharks has a role, and they need to execute that role if they want to come away with a win against the Gold Coast. So it is a big ask, but I think they're up for it.
Okay.
I think they're very keen for it. I'm tipping the Sharks, but this is a big test, a really big test for them, and I think they will be very excited by it. Emma Tonegado was
Oh my goodness.
phenomenal
Next level.
on Sunday.
Yep.
Phenomenal. So she was fantastic, as was Tiana Penatani. She was incredible on that edge as well. So that whole left edge is a real threat, real threat. And then for the Titans, if they concentrate on shutting down that edge, then you're going to leave Taylor Preston to kick wherever she wants. And her kicking game has been so fantastic. She's been so consistent, finishing exactly where it needs to. Defence has been up, like kick chase has been on. And yeah, so they've got a really good cycle at the moment, the Sharks. And I think they'll definitely need to sit in that and try and grind the win out of the Titans. But defence is going to have to be paramount.
It feels like this game couldn't have fallen at a better time, I think, for both sides, considering how short the season is. This is a real, could we see these teams both on grand final day? I think that we could potentially see that answer this week and seeing how it pans out.
And look, Tony Herman's named an unchanged lineup coming into this week. Obviously, unfortunately for Talia Fuimaono, she's been suspended for 2 weeks. But Sienna Lofipo, it was great to see her back from that injury that I think she got it through Origin.
Yeah.
So it's great to see her back. So she'll slot into that 6 role. So that'll be the thing. It's like Lauren will probably do most of the organising and most of the kicking. It's a good tussle. But then again, then I say, then I look at it and I say, okay, well then you got Ellie Johnston v Shannon Marto, Holly Wheeler, Jessica Ellison.
I think we could do that with the
Quincy
whole
you can do.
team
There are
list.
incredible matchups across the field, and this is could potentially be the game of the season. But I hope so. I hope each game is like that,
Yes, of
because then
course.
it just means that our product is fantastic. But
Absolutely.
yeah, of course. I am tipping the Sharks. It's going to be a tough road trip though.
Yes.
But they're up for it. They're keen.
Just quietly, I did tip the Titans, so we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
We'll be talking about this game next week. I
Well,
can
I'll be
guarantee it.
standing at Tarrant Point Bridge and I won't be letting you pass. You won't be coming home. You'll have to sleep in the studio.
Alrighty, straight after that one, we will be at Combank Stadium in Sydney as the Eels and the Dragons face each other, and I think this is another interesting matchup.
Yeah, this is a really interesting. This is a cool one because the Dragons will be hungry.
Yes.
They'll be really hungry, and the Eels, I think, will be disappointed that they let last week's opportunity get away from them.
Yes.
And it was a genuinely good opportunity for the Eels. Like I said earlier, there were glimpses for the Eels, but then their sets weren't finishing well. The people who had been threats just were shut down quite well. But this is, again, a great opportunity for the Eels to get back on the front foot and get back into the winner's circle. But I will say this, even though I think the scoreline belies how well the Dragons can play last week against the Sharks. There are, I think it was Angelina Tiakaranga Katoa. She's been playing fantastic through the middle for the Dragons, as has Toeniai. They've both been so good through the middle. Casey Ray is named to start at 5'8" with Ray McGregor. We saw last week that sort of switched up and she went back to the middle and Zali Hopkins started on the edge. What that does then mean is that they have a left and right foot kicker out wide, the Dragons, so they've got a couple of threats. But yeah, I've actually, this was a really hard one for me to tip. And I think I'm tipping the Dragons to break their losing streak.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be interesting.
I know.
On Sunday, we will then be in Newcastle as the Knights host the Tigers. Now, the Tigers start to their game last weekend. I was like, whoa, let's go. And they just let it slip, didn't they?
Yeah, they just couldn't continue on with it. And this is the thing. I mean, the Broncos are such a strong outfit.
Yep.
It's very difficult to keep them locked out of a game.
Yeah.
So that was always going to be a really big ask for them. I think, again, this week, Evie Jones has been named at 7. Jessie Southwell is on the extended bench. So whether she hasn't been able to pass her protocols just yet, maybe why she's not been named. But this is a big, I wouldn't say opportunity, but this is a big task for the Tigers, because the way that the Knights started last week, they were right on song from the get-go. Tamika Upton had probably the best game I've seen her play in NRLW so far this year. She was really strong, as was Yasmin Clydesdale was immense again. So the Tigers started well themselves last week, but defensively they're going to have to really aim up because there's plenty of strike in this Knights outfit. And I liked the way that BJ had done his rotation for the Knights.
Yeah.
I thought that worked really, really well for them. So it's going to be a big ask. But I think the Knights, especially at home, I think the Knights will come away with this one.
Yeah, I think they have an NRL men's game straight after too, so it'll be big crowd for the Novocastrians up there. Straight after, the Broncos, the Cowboys, a little Queensland derby will be happening up in Brizzy. I mean, like we said, the Cowboys have had back-to-back wins, but the Broncos have really found their stride.
I think, especially with Gail Broughton coming back, Stacey Walker is an incredible addition for them. I'm tipping the Broncos for this one. Even though the Cowboys have had some good footy in them the last couple of weeks, I've been really impressed with some of their players who are, if you're not really into women's rugby league, you wouldn't know these players, but obviously we know them, so we know what they're capable of. Yeah. But seemingly unknown players really stepping up and taking it on. But I really want to see the Cowboys try and get Jakiya Whitfeld into the game.
In more space.
Yeah. Just create a little bit more space for her, or get it to her a little bit earlier and let her create or do something and then play off the back of it, because she is fast and strong and she can break tackles. So if you get it to her early, or even just against the grain, coming back against the grain, she can create some opportunity. But I think the Broncos, even though it's in Townsville, it's in Brisbane, sorry, I think the Broncos will get this one.
Absolutely. Well, I shouldn't say absolutely, but I
tip them as well.
I think they could. But I want to say I think the Cowboys can keep it tight. I think they can keep it to a tight scoreline.
They'll take it to them. Yeah. They'll take it to them.
Our final game of the round. Do you know what I'll be doing? I'm going to be in Newcastle on the sideline, and then I'm getting back on the highway to make sure that I'm at Allianz Stadium for the 6:30 kickoff of the Roosters and the Raiders. So everyone, please pray for nice traffic for me as I'm coming home.
Yeah.
The Roosters and the Raiders. The Roosters are going to be that fired up after last weekend, and I worry for the Raiders.
Yeah, I think the Roosters will definitely be fired, and a home game for them too.
Yeah.
So they'll definitely be chomping at the bit. They'll be looking for a fast start because they were shut out last week, so that they'll be looking to start there very quickly. And the Raiders, obviously, they would have been very disappointed with that loss last week.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of oomph in their pack. I mean, like Samaima Taufa, I thought she was huge for them last week. She really was.
Yeah.
And she always is. But she stepped it up another gear for them.
Yeah.
And she's going to have her work cut out because she's going to have to shut out Millie Elliott, Amber Hall when she comes, because Amber likes to come back against the grain. Their edge back rowers are going to have work cut out for them. It's good to see Mona Lisa Soliola back, which is great. That's a big step up for them. But yeah, Holly Mae Dodd's going to have her work cut out against Amber Hall, because the way she runs that footy, and she's only getting better as the season progresses. She gets a bit more fitness under the belt, since she came back from that foot injury.
Yes.
So it's going to be really tough, and I think it's good to see Ash Quinlan back. I know she was sick last week for the Raiders. Yep. So I think having her back with Z will really settle that ship and give the Raiders more strike on both sides of the field. But yeah, at the moment, I'm tipping the Roosters at home for this victory. And again, I don't think they'll get blown out of the water, the Raiders. I think they'll push them the whole way. But there's so much quality in this Roosters outfit, and they will be hungry after last week.
Very, very
Yeah.
hungry. Well, we're certainly in for another huge weekend of NRLW footy. Remember, you can watch every single NRLW game live and free on 9 and 9 Now. Get around it. We're getting towards the pointy end of the season already. My best friend actually messaged me the other day and she's like, look, I haven't been watching as much as I would like to be, but I need to know who's the front runner, who's the underdog, all this sort of stuff. And I said, look, to be honest, it's anyone's game. And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So get in and amongst it. Send us your questions to answer on the podcast next week, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you for listening to the NRLW Weekly podcast with Marley Silva and Ruan Sims. Thanks to Lite N, fueling Australian sport.
This year, NRL on 9 is your one-stop shop for all footy.
That's right, Freddie. Not about the highlights. Action. 7 days a week.
Billy and Gus podcast, get that on your drive on the way home. Immortal Behaviour. Grab a seat on the couch for that. And, of course, my favourite, Freddie in the 8.
The best footy brains, the biggest games.
Don't trust the algorithm. Subscribe to NRL on 9 and get all your entertainment there.